Frank J. Avella with Awards Daily. In Sherise Dorf's funny and poignant first feature, The Everything Pot, Lisa Edelstein plays Rachel, a woman whose world is upended when she instantly and excitedly responds to a wedding invitation. Edelstein is an absolute delight in this film, and I'm pleased to welcome her. Hello, Lisa.
Thank you so much. I love that intro. I'm just going to record that intro and bring it with me wherever I go.
I have to
I'm
tell you, I've
so-
seen about 35 of the Tribeca films, and you give one of my favorite performances.
Oh, wow. That's really meaningful. Thank you so much. Wow.
You're most welcome. And let's start with how you became involved in the film.
Charisse I managed to get the script, these things go. And I always read things that are sent to me. It was in the middle of the strike. She had permission to shoot. They were shooting 5 minutes from my house. So far she was winning. And when I read it and I realized first of all, it was a lovely script. And Charisse is a woman who's my age, who is a first-time filmmaker. And I just think, I know how frustrating it is in general to be a woman my age in the industry. And the only way that's going to change is if we change it. And so
Yeah.
it was really important to me to support her and support this project and help bring it to life.
Well, Rachel is super complicated. She's a fascinating character. She's reevaluating her life, which I think we can all relate to at one point or another. Uh,
Yeah.
could you speak a little bit about, becoming her?
When you work with the director who's also a writer, you get a sense of your character because you know it's coming from them. So, and you're with them all the time. So there's a certain amount of food that you get just from being around that person who wrote it and is directing it. So there's definitely just time spent with Sherise made me understand what we were talking about. Um, and just allowing for the feelings that come with middle age of uh your sort of relevancy in the game slipping away, your sense of beauty slipping away, like all of that stuff. um just allowing that to be on film is scary for a woman, and also really valuable. So it was a journey for me in that regard. And I think her relationship not with Adam, with Charlie, is so filled with that sort of instinct to reach back in time
Yeah.
that it really sort of helps tell that story.
Well, I love how nuanced you were in the scenes with James Walk and obviously her enjoying the attention, but also examining how she, kind of really feels about it.
Yeah, I've known so many guys like that character. He's sort of a jerk, like he's such a liar. But he's also so charming. Yeah, I think she is considering in real time which way she would like to go and what her life is going to look like. And
I'll
that's you don't know which way she's going to go.
You don't, and I'll be honest with you, I was kind of rooting for a little Rachel and Charlie, at least romance. I was sorry to see that that wasn't there.
Yeah,
Uh,
and by the way, there's no way that other relationship is going to work out. There's just no way. I don't believe in it.
um, so you have quite a number of absolutely hilarious moments. There's the breaking into the home scene, which I won't go into detail about, but just as many of these warm and poignant scenes. Do you do you approach both the same way? Like I'm assuming with the same honesty.
Yes, I think that comedy and drama are twins. And I think that the best comedy comes from a dramatic place, because the more you put your heart into it, really put your heart into it, that's when people are going to relate to it the most. They're going to see themselves in that story. So to me, yeah, the approach is the same. I mean, the breaking into the house thing was a little goofier, but but still, like, all of it has to come from a real place as much as possible.
And I'm curious about your your process. Does it change from project to project, or do you normally approach a role, in a project the same way?
There are different parameters that you're working in. On Girlfriend's Guide, it was a lot more freewheeling. Like I could adjust things, especially because I was playing the character for so long and she was so active in the story. On House, it was extremely strict to stay exactly within the parameters that my character existed in and never change a word.
Mm.
Um, on Cherise's show, it was much more interactive because Sherise is a first-time director. I came to the table with a lot of experience, so I felt like I was partnering with her in a lot of ways. And that definitely changes the work on set. But in terms of how I approach developing a character, it really comes from the script itself. Like I will read the script over and over and over again. In the process, I'll memorize the whole script at once so that I really get a feel for the beginning and middle and end of my character. So I know the journey that she's on. So I always can refer to where am I in that journey in this scene. And that is true for job.
Wow. The film, there's an interesting exploration in the film of different generational relationships, and the insecurities that come into play. And wow, big surprise, they're all still there, really, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, and anybody who's young watching this, it'll be your turn. If you're lucky, either that or you die. So you have a choice. This is the ride.
I wanted to ask about
I'm
working.
there with my 88-year-old father and my 86-year-old mom, and like I'm seeing another part of aging. At the same
Yeah.
time, I'm walking with him around New York. We're having to move very slowly. And my dad he overdid it at the beginning of this trip, and it really set him back. And we were talking about how your mind doesn't change, but your body does. And it's just, we are all on the same journey. And I think it's really important to tell these stories. And I also think that for women, this moment in a woman's life, this middle age, the 50s, are extremely powerful because you're finally no longer worried about getting pregnant. And you're really like, you're not on an emotional roller coaster, but you're really in your power. You've got all the information you need. You don't give a shit about what anybody thinks about you anymore. Sorry, I hope I can curse.
Oh, yes,
And
you can.
and you can finally like take matters in your own hand. And yet that is the exact moment that we stop telling women's stories. We don't really see women again until they're old.
Yeah.
We love old women, but we're uncomfortable with women who are not old but who can have babies. And it's an interesting thing. We know how to value young women and we know how to value old women, but this very powerful time in a woman's life has been unexplored or not explored enough. And so I'm taking charge.
Good
And
for you. And
yeah,
I completely agree. I think so many of our best actors from TV and film are currently in their 50s and 60s, and, you know, polishing to play these parts that, they should be playing.
that they should be writing
They
and
should be writing, yeah.
yeah. You see it a lot more in like British television. You see women of all ages and women of all different levels of, what is considered beauty. Like it's like humans. You see humans much more than you see in America on television, especially.
Yeah. Elisa, looking at your incredible list of credits, I was kind of gobsmacked and had to reach back into my memory for a few. Obviously, House was a significant moment in your incredibly eclectic career. What roles and projects have meant the most to you on this journey?
I would say first really important moment was Seinfeld. That was a sort of really memorable role, and put me on the map in Los Angeles in a way that I hadn't been. And it was just a very exciting moment for me. Um, and and then I got to be on a show that nobody really knows because it was only one season called Relativity,
I saw
where
Relativity. You broke ground in Relativity,
I
yes.
broke ground. I was the first I had the first lesbian makeout scene on network television, and we had to fight for it. We had to fight for not just a peck, but an actual makeout. And it was also great about it and special about it was that it wasn't about my character Rhonda being gay. She just was gay. It wasn't taught. It was just like, let's have this human being who happens to be a lesbian as part of this family. And that had never been done. It had always had to be like the scene where somebody announces, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
this just normalized the understanding that some of our children are gay. So I was really proud of that. West Wing was beautiful, and playing a sex worker who was dignified and well educated was, and also, you know, making out with Rob Lowe, who I had been in love with as a teenager, was really fun.
Your role
And
on Ally was pretty groundbreaking too.
Allie was, it's hard to talk about now because people
Yeah.
don't relate to the idea of a woman playing a trans woman. But back then there were no trans women characters on TV, and playing one was, I mean, I lost work because everybody decided I was a man for, you know, a year and a half.
Wow.
And after Relativity, everybody decided I was a lesbian and like I'd only play lesbian roles. So it was like the risk you took for taking those jobs in that time period was very real, and I didn't care. I just thought it was amazing. And I had known so many trans people in my life that I was excited to play her in a really dignified way. Yeah, I almost didn't get House because somebody up on the big wigs were like, "Isn't she a little masculine?"
Oh my God.
So, you know, it's good. This world is crazy. But it's a testament to performance. They believed it. Um, so yeah, and then of course House was life-changing. That was a really beautiful experience and a little scary. That was a huge show in its day, and I'm not that comfortable with being that famous. That's like where you can't walk out of a building without people chasing you. That was very strange experience and not comfortable. Um,
Wow.
but a brilliant show, and I was really proud of it. And Girlfriend's Guide after that was
Bravo.
close to my heart because it was the first time I was a lead in something, and I was 48 when I got that job, and that was a big deal. So to tell a story about a relevant woman who was like sexual and interesting was groundbreaking. That just didn't happen. And then when I started in this business, that would not have happened. So that
Mm.
was pretty major. Yeah, and then Kaminsky Method was super.
Kaminsky. Oh my God, with Alan Arkin.
I, I mean, come on. It's incredible. Classic. And Michael Douglas is amazing. He's like the biggest mensch. He's the nicest guy. So thoughtful.
Yeah. I also have to say I loved you on The Good Wife. You were
Oh, thanks.
Celeste.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
I think I did The Good Wife after I left House. Yeah, that was after I left House. So that was really fun. It was right afterwards the Kings called and asked if I wanted to do an arc, and you know, she's amazing. Juliana's amazing. I look up to her, and the way she was leading the show was really impressive and really informed me in terms of how I wanted to be as number one on the call sheet.
No, that's fantastic. And you are, and people can come see you in the Everything Pod, and again, incredible performance. I one last question for you,
Yes.
which is twofold. I know you've written and directed some shorts. I'm
Yeah.
curious as to whether you have plans to do more and what is up next for you, Lisa.
Okay. I wrote and directed a short named Unzipping, which you could actually see on YouTube, and I'm very proud of it. And I had the best time. I started directing when I was on Girlfriend's Guide, and so when that show ended, I immediately developed this short story into a 15-minute film. And I would love to do more. It's just I paid for that out of pocket. I can't keep doing that. It's
Yeah.
I wanted everybody to make money, but it takes a toll. Um, I'm on a Netflix cartoon that has not been announced yet, but we'll know more about it next year. I'm having a blast.
Wow. Well, that
Yeah.
I look forward to it, and I thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us. And enjoy Tribeca.